Yeah, so I think now we can just wrap up the show with an email we got from a regular listener, Wayne Morley. He writes, Dear Manga Mavericks, Wayne again. Hope you are having a happy new year. I don't remember if this was answered already, but are there any American comics you guys read? Having been a fan of both manga and comics, I wanted to know what you read. So, American comics. Well, I'm actually taking a comics analysis course right now, so I will be reading some comics, interesting comics pretty soon. March is on the docket for me to dig into more fully, and then there's also classics that I'm ashamed I haven't gotten around to yet, like Fun Home, that I'll be reading. But generally, I haven't kept up with a lot of currently running stuff, but I try to go and dig into things whenever I have the time. There's on Animation Revelation right now. There's the greatest comic competition that we're doing. So a bunch of the stuff in there I plan to read for that competition. So,
actually, a little. I forget if it was late last year or early this year, but pretty like a couple months back, I did ask people on Twitter for their recommendations of some good American comics I could get into because I have trouble trying to find stuff outside of just superhero comics, which, as much as I love characters like Spider-Man and Deadpool and whatnot, I really don't think superhero comics are for me. At least, I have a lot of trouble trying to keep up with them, honestly.
I mean, there's a lot of variety, so you should experiment with different things. I really like Captain Marvel and Power Girl, and Miss Marvel is also pretty good. I like there's some stuff that I like on the Marvel end that's just fun. In terms of pure fun, Squirrel Girl is always great, and of course Deadpool. I love Deadpool. He's hilarious. So,
I don't doubt there's good stuff. I just meant in trying to keep up with them, because that's part of the reason why I like manga so much, is that there's a clear starting and ending point with a lot of series. Excluding the long-running ones, but even then, those are a lot easier for me to keep up because they're so linear, and they're not like superhero comics in particular, where there's this whole big expanded universe, and you might not get this one thing happening if you don't read this 3-issue side story thing. It's not something I have the time to keep up with, but something I like to kind of dabble into a little bit. But my point being is that, I'm still interested in reading other comics that aren't just manga. I'd like to expand my taste a little bit. So, I have an entire list, that I'm not going to finish this year, because I know I'm terrible at managing time, but, I have a whole list of comics that I'm going to go through and, maybe hopefully pick a few from that list that I want to try to get to this year. So, I have a starting point, and I'm hoping to get somewhere with that in the next year or so.
Oh, how about you, Maxie?
Boy, howdy, have I got you guys covered. I read too many comics on a monthly basis. I am a comics person. Manga came first, kind of. What really came first was Tintin and Asterix. But, as far as thinking actively that they are comics, manga came first, then, later on with Western ones. But there's so much stuff I can recommend for people. If you really like shonen manga, a series that finished last year is John Barber and Tom Scioli's Transformers vs. G.I. Joe. It is perhaps the most insane comic I have ever read. It's gorgeous, it's weird, It's like someone took every idea they had playing with their toys as a child and turned it into a comic book, and yet it's still somehow greater than that. There's not even a good way to explain it. Tom Scioli's art is like if you put Jack Kirby on LSD, which sounds like a really trite description, but the thing is, right, that's literally how it looks, and it's all the better for it. That's a big go-to. It's out in 3 volumes from IDW. There's probably not been a better licensed comic in years. Certainly it's better than any of the superhero stuff that's been coming out lately. At the same time, if you like manga a lot, the Sonic comics are super good. Which again, they have a bit of a reputation, but there's been a series of one shots under the Sonic Mega Drive label. The third one of which is coming out very shortly. That are drawn by Tyson Hess, who has a very manga-informed style that's also got a bit of Euro comics in there and a lot of animated cartoons. And like, it's got that sort of perfect sense of story beats and comedy and action stuff that you would associate with manga. Is there anything else I can think of that's a really good suggestion? If you're a fan of the more sort of thinky pieces, like Motor Girl coming out at the moment from Terry Moore, who did Strangers in Paradise, it's looking like it's going to be a new modern classic that deals with a lot of interesting concepts you wouldn't ordinarily see in a comic book, not the least of which being PTSD and hallucinations. Have I got any other ones that are particularly good off the top of my head? If you are interested in superheroes, it's Aquaman and Deathstroke right now. Aquaman's been doing a really weird socio-political conflict that's really worked out well in the long run, and I don't even know how best to explain Deathstroke. It's by an author who often does a lot of soapboxy stuff, but like, the latest issue has been about gun violence in Chicago, and it's possibly the greatest single issue DC Comics have published ever, which is an interesting thing in itself. Beyond that, if read Nailbiter from Image Comics. It's just about to end in issues. The volumes, it's not a huge one, probably like 5-6 volumes, but it's genuinely scary without having to go down the route of ridiculous gore or some other like weird little gimmick. It's just unnerving to read. And that's literally every suggestion. Like, Unstoppable Wasp. It's from Marvel. It looks like it's drawn by someone who really liked Sailor Moon. That sounds like I'm being cynical. It's a good thing. And yeah. So that was just a handful of stuff I just picked off of Comixology just there.
Those all sound pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, well, I talk about comic books like every week or so for 5 minutes at a time for another podcast. So like, my mind's almost always on this stuff.